Hello, welcome to Talking Points. Apologies for a bit of a technical glitch there. I thought the theme music was coming on and it didn't seem to work. Shall I try it again? Let's see if it does work this time.
It did work.
Did it go? Did it work?
It worked, and then he got cut off about
my goodness,
a little bit into it.
Yeah, apologies for that because it didn't play mine. So let's start again. Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Spurs for Life, and this is episode number 56 of Talking Points. And how well would Spurs do in the Champions League? It's only theoretical, guys. We're not trying to, jinx Spurs. We are in a good position in the league. Still not the favourites, but in a good position. So before we take this time just to have a bit of a chat, see what you think the Spurs squad is like at this present time in terms of playing in the Champions League for next season. Obviously, Conte being in charge, if that makes a difference to our possible hopes in the Champions League, if we were to get there. As I said, I'm joined in the house, as always, Mike-Hotspur, Hustler, Sid Spurs. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good evening.
Not too bad, mate.
All good. All good.
International break. It's that little bit of a lull, that period of, as I say, not real football, because I can't be dealing with all this Nations League and all the rest of it. Can't be bothered. I'd rather get back to Premier League football. Anyway, let us get on with the show. So, as we talked about, how well would Spurs do in the Champions League if we were to get there this season? I'll ask the question directly then. How well do you think we'd do, Mike?
Who you going with? Me first?
Yeah, is everything. Can everybody hear you, all right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
All good.
Yeah.
Go on then, Mike. Sorry.
How well will we do in the Champions League? Right this moment in time, I think we'd get battered.
We'll look at some options after, but if we, like I said, if we was to go take this team now, we don't have any transfers. We put Conte, these guys, obviously with their improvements, and put them straight into a group with, I don't know, whoever you want. Yeah, go on.
I wouldn't be feeling confident. Let's put it that way. When you look at some of the players that we've got, they've been whatever Conte's doing. He's going above and beyond by getting a tune out of some of these players, and I think our league table position flatters us. I think it flatters us to quite a bit of an extent. But given that there's teams in and around us that are either just as bad or they're sort of inconsistent themselves with form. I think the league position flatters us with the squad we've got, but when you take into consideration teams in and around us, I think it kind of balances itself out. I think if we were to put this team into the Champions League with the players that we've got now, I wouldn't fancy our chances getting out of a group stage. I just don't see it. I think we need, for us to be able to cope with Champions League football as well as the Premier League. I feel there's quite a bit that needs to be done with the squad to get that balance.
Mike, you're a little bit out of sync in terms of the sound and what you're saying, but we can hear you all right. It's not a problem. This comment here from Mark Cousins, this is what I'm thinking. We would win it, surely. No, but seriously, I don't want to be hearing Tottenham getting battered in Spanish, German, French, etc. I don't want to be hearing that song. If I'm honest with you, if we take this squad now, there will be improvements. Obviously, you take into consideration a pre-season with Conte. I'd expect these players to improve. But we all know, week in, week out, we can't necessarily rely on every single one of these players to perform consistently. And from what it seems, I don't know if it's going to be the case into next season, but Conte seems to want a fairly condensed squad. Players that he can rely on that might not be more than 15 sort of players. I think we need a massive, well, not a massive squad, but you certainly need a very competitive squad to be able to do well in Europe, just in general. No, we've seen already from our Europa League, our UEFA Conference League exploits that, it's not easy to kind of balance the two, and it's been traditionally known. So I wouldn't want to see this team in the Champions League without some reinforcements, honestly. But Sid, what's your thoughts?
Right, so my thoughts are this is two ways it can go, right? The first one, we probably won't even get past the qualifying stages with this current squad, right? However, if we did get into the Champions League group stages, I think we'd be the first club in history to get into the Champions League, get knocked out into the Europa League, get knocked out of the Europa League to go into the Conference League, and then get knocked out of that as well. So we'd be the first club in history to get all three competitions in one season and get knocked out. But current squad-wise, do you know what? I personally don't think we're strong enough to compete in the Europe Champions League. However, look at Sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Because because who shot the Sheriff? It was definitely wasn't the deputy, was it? So they done well. They got a few scalps, but it's probably their first venture into the Champions League, and they probably take every game as a cup final. Madrid, whoever they played. But with us, obviously with Tottenham, and we've been in Europe before, we got to the Champions League final a couple of years ago. The problem is whether we can get these bunch of players geared up week in, week out to play in the Champions League, which I personally think under Conte, he would. I think he'd get a tune out of them. But the problem is, how far would we go? I think this bunch of players, if we weren't to get any more players this season and we stuck with them and we got into the Champions League, I think Conte would gear them up to play, to get the best out of them. Probably might even come out of the knockout stages, group stages, but it's probably in the knockout stages where we'd probably get eliminated. But I think there's players in there, there's a group of players in there that are good enough to definitely not win it, not get into the quarters or the semis, but maybe have a little bit of a go. But so, then go on.
I was going to say, it depends on how, and I last this, it depends on how they prioritise it. Again, looking at West Ham now, where they're in the round of 16, they would now prioritise that, I would imagine, over the league. And if you're only concentrating on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night, it's fine. But at the expense of, you know what I mean, doing not so well in the league, as I said, because of the balance of the squad, I'm not quite sure we got the numbers to do that. But saying that, if we were to get into the Champions League with the current squad that we have, and we got into the Europa, you know, I look at the Europa League competition as a little bit more beneficial now because A, it's a trophy to win, a realistic trophy to win. I know there's teams that will obviously cascade down from Champions League, but if we're in the Europa and take it seriously, like how West Ham have taken it seriously, would you not expect us to go on and possibly win that as opposed to the Champions League? And would that not be a better route into the Champions League for the following season when we'd be more prepared? Let's say if Conte has signed a long-term contract, let's say we have signed 2 or 3, 4 players in the transfer windows over that period of time, the 2 transfer windows, would we not be in a better position had we taken it a bit slowly? Or, like I think everybody wants, just the excitement of getting into the Champions League and just seeing what happens, bringing players in. Do you think the benefit of being in the Champions League is just to bring players in for us?
It's a difficult one. I get why majority of fans would probably be like, no, we want Champions League football because it would probably attract sort of a higher caliber of player. Maybe the type of players that Conte wants to come in like and be able to hit the ground running now because they're at a certain age or a certain quality, and it's not a player that you could deem as maybe a project player, someone that's going to develop over a period of time. Me personally, I'd be satisfied if we got Europa League and took it slowly, on the basis that if we were able to get into the Europa League and we were able to attract big name players, I would obviously fancy our chances much more in Europa than I would do perhaps in the Champions League, just on the basis that we'd have to get the play. We've got to find these players, or even if we found the players, we've got to get them into the team. They've got to embed. They've got to gel. They've got to get used to everyone. And that takes time in itself. I just feel for us to be able to hold our own in the Champions League, I think the squad as it is now, I would personally say we probably, for us to, the team itself, I would say probably needs about 5 players to walk into that first team 11 to say, yeah, we can hold our own against the elite in Europe. The squad itself, I'd probably say it probably needs double that amount. I'd say 10 to sort of again, just to hold our own against the elite in Europe. I just don't feel that the squad that we have now is. I just don't feel it would be sort of adequate, capable, for want of a better word, to sort of compete in the Champions League, and B, sort of handle the Premier League and what that brings as well. I just don't feel the squad's. I just don't feel the squad's strong enough in depth or in size. I know there's players that have gone out and loan that might be coming back at the end of the season, but I'd get rid of them, and that's why I'd be more satisfied with Europa, just because I think the demand. I know you could argue, well, with Europa, you've got to go to Timbuktu every Thursday or every other Thursday night, whatever it might be, but the teams that we would face in Europa, generally, you're not going to come across a team of any sort of level of a Champions League team until the knockout stages, really. So I feel that it would give our squad time, if we have got players that have come in, etc. It would give the players just the pressures would allow for the team to just gel a little bit more and take a little bit of time to gel and to embed and get used to each other. But yeah, Champions League at this moment in time, I just don't think we're about that life at the moment.
Just think about if we was in the Europa League on a Thursday night, we could then complain if we lost on a Sunday 3-1 and say, oh, but we played 120 minutes in the Europa League. We were tired.
No, but in all seriousness, there's got to be some positives. And this is what I'm saying. I look at it very much the case of we can't win the Champions League next season no matter what. In my opinion, I just don't think we're to close that gap. Even if we were to get the 5, 6, 7 players that we might need, you still got to get them 5, 6, 7 players to gel. I don't think any manager in the Prem I can think of at the top level, Pep, Klopp, you could look at, I don't know, in the past, Mourinho's, Tuchel, possibly only Tuchel, but he had a squad that was ready-made and he took over partway through a team that was already in the competition. But to rebuild a team like how we're going to have to rebuild a team, even with the likes of a Klopp or Pep, we've got Conte, top 5 manager in the world, definitely. He can't work miracles, because if he could, he'd have been working miracles already with us. So he's already said there needs to be time. There needs to be time. And that's just to compete for us in the top 4 now. So the next season is to compete to be really in the top 4 race and possibly be pushing for, a top 3 place, because I still think the top 2 are way out in front. Even the Chelsea being 3rd, we're still competing around them at the moment. So I think we're still going to be competing for top 4 anyway. That then step up to Champions League level to then play that consistently well. I think we've got a good enough team as the best 11 on a day to beat anybody. That's obvious with most teams. But then as you were saying, Sid, to then come back after an exploit on a Wednesday, then come back to play on the Saturday, it ain't going to be as easy as that, because we've seen it already. So what do we need then? And just read this comment out from Mojo. I think the benefits outweigh the downfalls with a better player we could attract and the revenue, even if we get knocked out of the group stages. So is Conte the draw then? If let's say we were to get Champions League this season, is it a case of, getting them better players in and is it if we didn't get it, is it more Conte that's going to bring these players in or Champions League? Because a lot of people think just having Champions League is going to bring players in. I'm not quite so sure because other teams have not been in Europe and done the same, i.e. Arsenal, Man United in the past as well. What's your thoughts?
Do you know what, right? First thing, Champions League for me, even when I went to the games when we was in it last season, as soon as that music comes on, the hairs on your arms and on your body are just...
You're not talking Champions League. You must be talking Conference League last season. Is that correct?
Oh, sorry, the season before.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Sorry, season before.
I feel more.
My hairs went down for that one. That they didn't raise. They just went down. They went below par. But it's that music. As soon as the players are coming out and that music comes on and the cameras are panning on them, it gives people that energy and that, you know what, this is the Champions League, and it gears them up. So for me, what you said, Sam, even with this squad, that music alone, right, should be enough to give them that confidence and the energy to play the game. And not only that, it's the revenue we can get out of it. And it's like somebody said, even if we get knocked out in this group stages, if we finish third, it's not a problem. We give it a shot. Then we go into the Europa League and we try and win that, which is we've got a better chance. So we've got 2 bites at the cherry. You do what you can in the Champions League. If you're not going to win, if you're not going to top the group, then you know what? You come second. If you're not even going to do that, then third. Do not come fourth, because that way you're goose. Come third so you can go into the Europa League. But going back to your question as well, I think it's not going to be the Champions. A couple of players may be drawn to the Champions League, right? You have to be in the Champions League for others to come. Like Koundé was one of them, right? You have to play in the Champions League, otherwise I'm not coming to you. I watched him the other day against West Ham. He was pants, mate. He was pants, right? And he wants to play in the Champions League when you can't even get geared up to play in the Europa League. So players like that come and go. For me, Conte is going to be the draw, because if you've got one of the, like you said, one of the top 5 managers in the world managing your club, and you've got PRTv in the background, if you don't get Champions League, you know you're going to be playing for one of the managers whose aim is to get into the Champions League. So maybe you can come to Spurs for one season playing the Europa, knowing under Conte and PRTv, the following season, you're going to give it a massive shot to get into the Champions League. And if you do, you've had a season already at Spurs, you've already embedded yourself into this squad with the other top players, and you're going to be ready and ready to go the following season in the Champions League. So for me, the manager is a bigger call than the Champions League.
So I'm going to ask Mike this. Thank you for that. Like I said, it is, because the manager definitely for me has to be the bigger call, because we've seen in the past that, you know, teams haven't been in Champions League and get players in regardless of their status. But then you might have to pay over the odds for players. I don't know. But I look at Conte. His record's not been fantastic in Europe. Do you think if there was a choice, Champions League or the league, I'll ask Mike this first, which one do you think Conte would want to prioritise over? If he had to prioritise over, well, let's say we got to, theoretically, I'll have to do this for you, like a similar situation to West Ham now. You know, you're in the round of 16, you're about 5th, 6th, 7th in the league. You really can't push for both, because if you do, you risk losing both of them, but you've got a potential to win one. What do you think Conte would choose?
That's a tough question, that is.
The only reason I've asked it because he's not really done, okay, I don't know how to word this properly. He's not achieved a European success, but his domestic success in terms of leagues and cups has been really good. So it suggests to me that he can win a cup competition, but the juggling of, trying to do both, obviously, even with the likes of Conte having proved that he can win back-to-back leagues, still hasn't managed to do European Champions League. So again, do you think he's a manager just I know he's driven by success, but what would be more success for him next season? I look at the Champions League as being, it's great, it's a great competition, but bread and butter. If we was to win the league, to me that shows more, because teams can win the Champions League. Not to say you've been, the best teams don't always win the Champions League, is what I'm trying to say. The best teams usually win the league.
I think I would look at it as maybe not so much what Conte would think would mean more to him, but what would mean more to the fans. And
Good point.
I would say I'd say the Premier League. If I had to choose the two as like what would be priority, if I had the choice of winning either, yeah, I'd probably go for the Premier League. Why? Like you said, any team in the Champions League can win that cup. You've just got to have the right draw, and anything's possible. Whereas the Premier League, it's 38 games on average. Yeah, and it would mean much more to the Spurs fans as well. I think in this precise moment in time, I think the Premier League I certainly would want the Premier League over the Champions League, just because I feel the Premier League would mean more to me as a Spurs fan than the Champions League.
What's your
yeah,
thoughts?
100% Premier League.
Do you know what? If we look at his record in terms of European, I don't think he's won a European trophy, has he yet?
No.
Yeah, so obviously, I don't know whether he's got that caliber or that enthusiasm. Well, he's probably got the enthusiasm, but I don't know whether he's missing that little, like Pep Guardiola with Man City. He's just missing that little edge to get a European trophy.
Do you know what
And
it is? Let me stop. I want you to continue.
Yeah,
it because I've noticed it recently, and Conte, we've all noticed it recently, not just me. I know we've got hampered by the players that we've got, but even in the past, Conte, when he was at Chelsea, didn't really rotate that team that much. He had certain players and they played. And that might be something to do with possibly why he hasn't been able to maintain a push in both, because he does really well in leagues, but then to do really well in cups, you really need a bigger squad. You really need to have to rotate. I don't think you can get away with just 14, 15 players. I think you need to be 16, 17, 18 deep of equal quality to really push for it. Or be very lucky, like you said, get a great draw, get through, blah, 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 blah. But I look at that and think, is Conte a manager that, because he likes to keep everything quite condensed, quite tight in terms of the numbers of players, that's difficult to then do Wednesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday? Sid, any thoughts on that?
The answer to your question before was, but he'd probably be better at Premier League because he's won the league, he understands it. And what you said before as well, in the Champions League, you've not only got Man City, Liverpool, maybe Chelsea to come content with, you've also got Madrid, Barcelona's, Bayern Munich's, and all them lot. And we know he's won leagues. He's won the Premier League. We know he can handle it. You got City and probably Liverpool as the main contender, even Chelsea. But he knows that if he gets his squad right, if he gets the run of results together, he's got a more realistic chance of winning the Premier League than he has the Champions League, because he's proven to win that. So I think majority of Spurs fans would say the same as well, that it has to be the Premier League. If we get into the Champions League and, like you said, we get the luck of the draw and we get to however, I mean, don't get me wrong, if we got to the final, then he would give you 150% to win that final. It's just trying to get there. But once we're in it, I think he would 100% give you the opportunity to win it. But for me, I think, and I've seen quite a few on the chat, it's got to be the Premier League, because we've not won it for how many years, and you know what, we've got one of the top managers in the world, so we've got to go for it and we've got to roll with it.
Let's do a little bit of a theoretical game playing here, and let's kind of bring it back to where we are now. I would say at this moment in time, I think there's 3 teams left in this top 4 shout. Arsenal, obviously, us, and Man United. I just think it's probably too far for Wolves because of the points difference in the games in hand. Well, not the games at hand, the games that they played extra. And West Ham, I think they are now going to be focused on that Europa. I don't think they should even bother with this league now. They'll finish definitely within the top 7, 8 at least. So they should be in Europe next season anyway. But of the teams that I've talked about, the Man U's, Arsenal, Spurs, if no signings are made now, and no changes in management, that's the important thing. Because obviously there's talk about Man United getting a new manager. We don't know who that's going to be. But looking at them now, who's best geared up for that? Because Man United, I think, has got the best squad. Arsenal have got, I would say, a manager that really wants to prove himself to be on that level, and we've got Conte. So you kind of balance everything up. Who is favourites for this? Who would do better of the three teams? Who's best equipped? Would you say?
You know what? You're asking these questions today, man. You're coming up with some top questions. You know.
Sorry,
I like it. Mike, do you want to answer that one first?
Just give it to Mike.
Or shall I do it?
I like that one.
I'll go first. I don't mind.
That's good.
Man United are best equipped.
Yeah.
They're best equipped in terms of the squad, but I think they're in a similar sort of situation as us.
They're in the mud. They're in the mud. Let's not get it twisted. They're in the mud, but they have got a lot of individual players that are better than.
But in some ways, I think they've probably got they're in deeper mud than us, purely on the basis that they've got to sort out upstairs. They've got to sort out staff. They've got to sort out they've got to clear out dead wood. So from the squad perspective, although they've got better players, they're not playing as a team, and they've got to do some wheeling and dealing in the summer. Arsenal, they haven't got a striker. They haven't. I mean, they've done well. I think they've been punching above, on the basis that when you look at their attacking outlet, would you really say any of those players are actual goal threats? I don't know.
Look at like I said, you talk to me about Arsenal. You can't get. I just think they've got this far without a striker. They've done very, very, very well.
Yeah.
But I think now, if I look at it now, the running now, you need to have them players that you know is going to score goals. We've got that. We know we've got that. And that's why I fear if we lost Son or Kane, we're in a bit of trouble. Any of those players, you know what I mean, those important ones. But Man United have got a little bit more depth. Obviously, we've seen what Ronaldo's done to us. They've got Cavani in there. They've got Rashford. They've got Pogba knocking about. They've got Bruno. You know, there's players there that can win their games for them. But they're in such disarray, I would say, as you said, like we were earlier. I think we've got ourselves together. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to. I've got something in my head. I just don't want to come out and say it because I've been here before where, this can happen, that can happen, and I jinx it, and it just goes to pot. I mean, from Tottenham's perspective, out of the three, I would say we probably look. When you look at the team on the balance, I think we're better balanced than Arsenal because we've got strikers, we've got the defence, we've got the midfield, and I think we are starting to demonstrate playing more as a team. And I think that's taken Conte, best part of 5 months to sort of get us to this position now. Get us to this. I'm just reading G's here.
G's makes me laugh. I like G's. He's right. They're not paying attention to you. Tell them.
Not paying attention.
They're on their phones. They're writing little crossword puzzles, doing all that in the
No,
background.
we're on the phone. We're on the phone because we're looking. We're sending. We're tweeting that people come and watch us. That's what it is. Come and join us. Come and join us.
So going back, I think on the balance of play, we're far better equipped in terms of how the team's playing. As I say, going back to Conte quickly, I think it's taken him 5 months to get us to a position whereby we're now playing as a team. We look like a threat going forward. And you can see by the volume of goals, where Conte first took over, we were struggling to score. Now we're at that point where we are scoring goals. I mean, you can look at the last however many games, 5, 4, 2, 3, 3, etc. The only thing for us is just cutting out the silly mistakes that could see us over the line, come what may. But Yeah, Man United. You can't write Man United off just on the basis that they're who they've got in their squad. I mean, Ronaldo can win games on his own, which arguably he probably did when they played us. And I think Arsenal. I just think that without obviously because it's them lot. I just think they've been. I think they've been punching. Just because of their fact they haven't got a striker. They haven't got no recognised striker. Lack of no goals isn't a recognised striker in my eyes. And I think Saka and Smith Rowe, Odegaard, etc. They've had to step up, but can they consistently do it for another 10 games? I think Arsenal will drop points just on that basis that they haven't got that striker up front who could get them out of jail as and when needed, where we've got Son and Kane, who I know you could argue, we rely heavily on them, but any team would rely heavily on their forwards if they're scoring the volume of goals that those two do. I mean, Man United rely on Ronaldo, and he scores bucket loads of goals for them. I know you could argue, he hasn't had that much of a good season, but I think he scored like 18 goals or something like that for Man United this season.
Goals? Is he not their top goal scorer? It must be their top goal scorer.
He's their top goal scorer, and he has got them out of jail a few times. So I don't want to jinx things for Spurs. That's my we've been here before. We all get high and we all get sort of like confident that Spurs are going to do this, that, and the other, and then it comes back and bites on the backside. And I'm not about that. I'm not doing it.
Do you know what I'm doing? I'm going by what Conte does now. When Conte's like, "Oh well, it's done. I can't do this anymore. These players, I can't deal with it." Then I'm kind of like with Conte. After the game at the weekend, yeah, it was the weekend. It's bloody Tuesday today, isn't it? My days are getting lost. He was very upbeat in terms of how they performed. Again, performance over results is not always the case because obviously we need to get the results now. But we got both at the weekend against West Ham, against a team that we, have had problems with. Even though they played that Europa League game, they were still competitive, and we saw from set pieces they were going to be very competitive. But Conte is now seeing things that I think he's happy that he's been able to do over the last few months, and he seems confident. He seems like he's had to reset in himself. This is what I'm now aiming for. I'm not going to be able to do the league this year with this team, but I can still challenge this lot to do something this year. So I'm hoping in the next 10 games that we really would be, is it 9 or 10? It's 28 games.
9.
Yeah, 9 games left. I think we can really push him all the way to the last day, if I'm honest with you.
We do better when we're the underdogs.
I think so. I think just being behind them, putting them under pressure, because we play before them in the next round of fixtures as well anyway. So that's another good thing.
And I'm happy for Spurs to be underdogs till the end of the season, and then just sort of rise above the depths and potentially claim a certain spot. But I'm just not about talking about it too much.
Well, we got to do something. This is what Tuesday's about, man. We're talking points. Sid, I'm going to read this comment out from Mojo again. Arsenal just had a run of fixtures that we had when Conte had his unbeaten run, and we were all saying, let's wait till we play the top teams. That's what Arsenal have coming up. So they've got, I believe, Man United. Well, they've got, in terms of the fixtures, they've got Man United. They've got to play us. They've got to play West Ham. They've got to play Chelsea. So 4 games of those in the next 10. That's a tough set of fixtures in anybody's book. Do you think we're favourites?
Me personally, right, and I'm just going to go off what they always say, the table never lies, right? Arsenal out of the teams are the team in form, right? They're on a good run, yeah. Yes, they haven't got no striker at the moment, but they're pulling in the results. And the most important thing is, and I think we've seen it over the last couple of games, is the unity within the players, the team, how they support each other. I mean, look at the celebrations that they've been doing as a team effort. And they're playing as a team, for the fans. And out of the 3, I think they've got the momentum at the moment because they've got Arteta, who's doing what he's doing with the players, in training and whatever. So he's got them drilled. He's got them set up, and they're doing well. Man United, as Mike has said, they're just all over the place. 1 minute they want Ronaldo out, they're all slagging him off, and next minute he comes and scores a hat-trick against us, and everybody loves him again. And Bruno's not firing, Pogba's not firing, Rashford's just disappeared from the face of earth. I think the only plus side for them is the form of Fred. Fred's played quite well. For us, we're just inconsistent in terms of win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Now we've won 2 on the bounce. Conte knows he can get the best out of these players, but to be fair, can he continue getting this out of all the players week in, week out? And what we've said week in, week out, and you've said it today, Mike, as well, and you've said it as well, Shane, if we have an injury to the top 2, then technically we could be in trouble. Yeah, so we've got to keep our fingers crossed. But out of 3, honestly, I think Arsenal are the favourites, clearly because the run of form that they're in and the results that they're getting. We look at the fixtures coming up, but you take each game as it comes, and we've said this as well, and I'm sure Arteta's telling them the same. Just win your game every week. Don't worry about anybody else. You just go out there and do what you got to do. And as it stands now, I think they're in pole position. We're playing catch-up. But I think in terms of the squad, who's got the better squad to maintain it to the end, I think we have, because we've got the players that can deliver on the day. But as it stands now, and Arsenal are, for me, the team to beat, which I'm hoping we will, but I think they're the team.
Yeah, Martin Keown, I think and again, I'll ask Martin, do you think the mind games have started already now? Martin Keown, apparently, and I've not seen the quote, but he's saying, Spurs are favourites, or somewhere, whether it's social media or whether it's on one of the shows
Keown's a dick, mate.
That wasn't what I was going to get into, but I agree with you on that one. I don't like it. I just don't like the space.
Merson's another one. Tony, they're all the same, mate. They're all the same.
But what he's saying is, and I think it's again this mind game thing, which I hope is going to start ramping up now. The Arsenal are favourites. Who's going to win the mind games? If it comes down to mind games from managers, have we got the best manager to do that? I haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know what he's like as a manager, what he's like with the mind games. Arteta, I'm not sure, because I don't know if he's not been in this position before, certainly towards the end of the season. So I don't know what he's going to be like. He's done all the right things up to this point. He seems to have got everybody playing for him. But has the pressure really been ramped up? If we win our game before they play, we'll be on the same points as them. If we win by a certain margin, we'll be above them. That's when the pressure really mounts up. Do you think we're in the best position, or have we got the best manager to provide that?
Conte, these other 2 managers, I don't think have got the intelligence to get into Conte's head.
Low blow.
Arteta's intelligent, man. He's an intelligent man. You can't disrespect him. Yeah, he is.
No, mate. He's all about L'Oreal adverts. doing
Low blow.
I'm not having that. I don't think Arteta's not about mind games. I don't think he's never been in that position in a managerial aspect to be playing mind games. So I don't think he's got the experience to try and. How would he get into Conte's head? What's he going to say to Conte?
He's already started, don't he, by saying that we've got to play Thursday, Sunday, or whatever. He's already started the mind games, Mike. He's already started it. He's already started.
And that's why I raised it, because
that's just Arteta moaning. Like, who gives it? Does any
part of it to put pressure on? Because what I think he's trying to do is, this game hasn't been put in the calendar yet. This Tottenham Arsenal game, and wherever that lands is going to really be key about how far we are, or how far in front one of the 2 teams is. If it's like, say, 9 points and they put that in the last game or the 2 games before the end of the season, it makes no difference, does it? So they're really watching, and I think the Premier League are watching until after the next round of fixtures, particularly if we win, and Arsenal, not so sure, but if they win as well, I think they'll say, okay, we're going to have to put it in now because both teams are progressing well. I think Conte is the man who's going to put some real pressure on. I've seen a couple of things, and the reason I say that is because in the preview for the West Ham game, he mentioned something about when Arsenal was saying about they asked him about the cancelled fiction, said something about that the game hasn't been put in, and all he said was they to the effect of they cancelled the last one, and he just left it at that, as if to say they. I'm not going to use the word, but I'm going to use the word. They cheated. They didn't have COVID. They cheated. So they tried to get the game off because they didn't have enough players. And I think he took that, right, this is what they're starting to do. They're playing games already. I think he's going to be up for this. What do you reckon Wreck-It Ralph then, Sid? Do you reckon he's going to get himself involved in this mind games business?
No, I think Wreck-It Ralph, when what's happened is he's got the players, he's got the tools, they've been playing, and then all of a sudden it's game over in big letters because he hasn't got a clue. Well, he's got a clue, but I don't think the players.
Man. He's a very intelligent
He's a clever man, but the players are not. I don't think the players are playing for him, or the way he's utilizing the squad, or whatever. I mean, when you've got Wreck-It Maguire at the back as well, so you know what, it's a bit of a disaster. But I personally think United are probably out of it because he's not got the squad firing at all. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of discontent going on in the dressing room within the players. As Mike said, up top level, middle level, cleaners, whoever, everyone. There's something going on there. So for that basis, I think they're out. And it's. I think technically it's between Spurs and Arsenal, isn't it? But you never know. But Wreck-It Ralph is wrecking it at the moment. You know what I mean? It's not boding well for them. But you never know.
Thing with Ralph is he's just too honest, isn't he? He's too honest. I don't think he knows how to. Whenever you look at him, he hasn't got that poker face, has he? He's just like he looks like at times he's looked like a rabbit in the headlights. I think he's too honest for mind games. And I don't think any of those, either Ralph or Arteta, I don't think they can get into Conte's head. I just don't think he'll. It's the same with with the media. I just don't think he gives a shit. I just think he's got his own mind. He's got his own thoughts. He knows what's what. He knows what he wants from the team. He knows he will know what he wants to achieve. And Arteta can and Ralph can say what they want. I honestly don't think it's going to affect Conte in any way, shape, or form.
This is going to be my next point then, because I'm not sure about Wreck-It as well. I don't know. You were saying, Mike, he's an honest chap. But he's clever, so he might do it in a subtle way. He might just drop little subtleties. Man United need to get top four. If we're looking at all three teams, of all the teams, they need it more than that. I think Arsenal probably so because they've been out of it a few years. But if you look at how much money's been spent in since Sir Alex Ferguson has left, Man United by far of the three teams have spent the most money. This is my next question. You like this one? Give me your three most important things, which is going to make the difference for any of those teams to claim that top four this season. Your three. I don't want you to tell me, well, win more games, score more goals, Sid, because I know you'll try that sort of tactic on me. So I'm going to ask you first, Sydney, what's your three most important factors for any team that's going to make it this season as a top four?
Can I tell you Tottenham's?
Yeah.
Kane, Son, Bentancur. I'm telling you now, keep them three fit, and that is going to be the massive difference. Them three, Bentancur. Actually, I'm going to add a fourth one, Romero. Put them four in, right? But you want three: Benny, Son, and Kane. But do you know what? Honestly, number one is going to be the players. The three players I've mentioned, the four, actually five, Kulu as well. Kulu, Son, Kane, Bentancur, and Romero. They have to stay fit for between now and the end of the season. And on that note, I don't know why the hell Romero's gone to Argentina when he's suspended for the 2 games. Sir Alex Ferguson would have said to him, mate, you're staying at home. He ain't going nowhere. Why on earth have you gone? He should not have gone. Conte should not have allowed him to travel to there, right? That's number one. Number two, Conte. Yeah. And believe it or not, number three, the fans for me, because the atmosphere at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium going into the next 4 home games is going to be rocking. Newcastle's already sold out today, I've been told. So the game's sold out already. And we've never had that. Last couple of games selling out. Newcastle games in 2 weeks, and got notification today that they've sold it out. So the fans are 105,000% behind the club and the players. Keep them players fit and get Conte going. That's the 3 things that's going to get us into that 4th.
For me, and before I come to you, Mike, for me, I'm going to say the 3 things, the most important to me, there's obviously more factors. One is definitely the fitness of the key players. That's going to be all important for us. I even look at Arsenal and say the same thing. If they Saka or Smith Rowe gets injured, I think they're effed. If Kane or Son gets injured, same for us. I wouldn't say the same for Man United, although saying that, if Ronaldo got injured, I think they'd actually do better, because he seems to be a bit of the catalyst. People are kind of a bit grated. He seems to be rubbing against the grain in terms of his personal accolades that he wants to achieve. That said, fitness for me is very important of the key players. 2 is the manager. Of the 3 teams, we've got the best manager. He's not to say he's necessarily been in this position, but he's definitely knows the pressure. Conte has been in this pressure situation. He's obviously said top 4 is not really what I'm chasing. I'm usually chasing higher. But if he's now refocused his mind that the top 4 is his trophy or is his league winning position, I think you'll really get them players playing. And the 3rd thing for me is just the mentality of these players, which I've seen a bit more now. When that pressure's on, is just to stay calm under pressure. Winning games 2-0, don't let a team come back and score in the 75th, 78th minute, 80th minute, and then put pressure on yourselves, see games out, absorb that pressure. So for me, fitness, the manager, and the mentality of these players, or any of those teams, needs to be really strong. That's me. Mike, what's your thoughts?
Mine would be injuries. Injuries, form, and
form. Good shout with the form thing. That's a very good
injuries,
point.
form, and I would say it's a toss up between
Matt Dirty.
It's a toss up between strikers or defenders. I want to kind of say, if we don't concede silly goals, I think defense will be out of the 3. Defense will be key, because you look at Arsenal.
You think keeping clean sheets over scoring more goals is going to be more important? I tend to agree. Actually, if you can keep a clean sheet, you can always nick a goal. I think.
And if you look at Man United, as long as Maguire plays, Man United aren't keeping a clean sheet.
Ooh, low blow.
Arsenal, I think they've got probably the balance right at the moment, whereby they are keeping clean sheets, and they're just nicking the games by the odd 1 or 2-0. But they haven't played. There's a lot of teams they're playing in and around like from 6th position upwards, which that will test them. But for us, we need to keep the back line fit. We need the form to start picking up and to get a run of games. And lastly, we just need to, just like you just said, the mentality of closing games out, getting the results over the line when push comes to shove. Even if we are playing badly, that will be a telling factor for us.
Because we are going to have bad games. I think all 3 of them teams are going to have times where, the reason I said that is because now we're into the last 9 games or so. Everybody's going to come up, apart from them teams right in the middle, are going to come up against someone who needs something to play for. Obviously, you got the bottom 6 or 7; they've all got something to play for. The top 6 have all got something to play for. So you really want to be playing them teams in the middle if you can, who are on the beach, sort of thing. But there's not that many of that teams that are on the beach at the moment. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, if you look at I think we've got Brentford, Newcastle, Leicester, and Aston Villa, aren't they? Haven't we?
Yeah.
I think they're 3 of our last 9 games. those are the sort of games that you want whereby they're pretty much safe. They're not going to get dragged into the relegation scrap, and they're too far off. They're too far off sort of top. Well, they're too far off top six, hunting for European spots. So they're the sort of teams that you want to be playing. You want to avoid the top six teams, and you want to avoid the bottom 6 or 7 teams. That basically those teams that are in a bit of a scrap for survival. You don't want to be playing them near the end of the season because you know they'll pick up points against us. So, yeah, I think it's those, as I say, those are the sort of teams that you want to be playing. Those teams in and around mid-table.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my only concern is? The last game of the season, right? We've got Norwich, and you know what happened when we had Newcastle the last game of the season when they were already.
No, that's what I'm saying about the mentality. That's what I'm saying about the mentality. That can't. Norwich have been shite all season. They've lost. Yeah. I can't remember how many games. Just because they're playing the last game, we're playing at home because it's Norwich. It's Tottenham, Norwich. It's not Norwich, Tottenham. Yeah. I'd be a little bit more concerned if we were going Carrow Road. Even then, no, I'm not having. They come to us and they would. No. See,
I know exactly.
I think
I'm just saying.
If Norwich haven't got anything to play for insofar as, regardless of what they do, they can't get out of the relegation scrap, mate, we will bury them.
They're done now. They're done now.
Mike, we've been there before with them. We played them last season at home and we struggled. So,
this is what I'm saying. Okay, put this scenario to the front. If we, on the last day of the season, have to win our game to be in the CL, and of all the teams that you could choose, who would you want? For me, the team that's fucking been at the bottom of the table for most of the season is a team I want to play.
Especially if they're playing in our yard.
There's no excuse. If we were playing Liverpool last day of the season, I'll be like, oh, shit, that's a tough game. Middle of the table, I'll be like, that's cool. But bottom of the table, you can't handpick any better. So that's where this mentality of players, if we were to be in that situation and we were to fail because of that, that'd be it for me. Because we would never win anything because you can't be in that situation with a manager like Conte.
Sorry,
you need to win your last game.
Sorry to put some oil and water into your burning fort. But the last home game for us is Burnley. Final game of the season. We're away to Norwich City.
Oh, is it away?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a little bit of shine off what I said then, a little bit. But I'm still not having it. If I still wanted to play a team away from home, it's got to be Norwich on the last day because they're rubbish.
Yeah, of course.
And even, I mean, Burnley could be done and dusted by then as well. So
yeah. But I'm not bothered about Burnley at home. To be fair, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about anyone at home. To be fair, I'm not bothered at all because the way Conte's got them rolling at the moment at home and with the fans all behind them as well, I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue with home games.
And this is a good thing for us because now you've said that we've got a good form at home and we've got the fans behind us. And because of the way that we play, being away from home should suit us as well. So teams that want to go for us, that should suit us down to the ground because we've seen how we now play. We get back into shape, 5-4-1, we break from there and we've scored goals. We've now found a way, or I've seen certain patterns of play that we can break teams down. We did a few of them in the game against West Ham. So we're now having the best of both worlds. This is what I'm saying. Conte's worked something and got these players to now believe that they can do it. So now I'm going to ask the last question. And this is going to be a good one. And it's not, can we do it? Will we get into the Champions League this season? And if we do, how well will we do next season? Mike, go on, son.
We'll get top 4.
Easy.
I'm not going to elaborate anymore on that. I do think when I've looked at the fixtures, I think we will. I think we will. As long as if we continue the way we've done in the last couple of games, then I think we can. Whether we'll do well in the Champions League, if we get the fish. But I do think we can get in there. Yeah, I do.
I don't know. Was it that bad that you had to go run off? Jeez.
I had some Arsenal fans ringing on the door. So
he was asking, "What should I say? What should I say?"
Yeah.
So I'm not asking the can. It's the will. Will we do
Do you
it?
know
And
what?
if we did, how will we do next season?
I honestly don't. I don't want to answer that question because we're gonna
Come on, no flinders and...
it's the jinxing bit in it. But like we said throughout the whole show, if we're looking at the managers, if we're looking at the players, if we're looking at the momentum and the mentality and what we've got to do, and the most important thing, which Mike said, we're the underdogs. We're chasing. We're not being chased. Yeah, we will get the top 4.
I'm sorry to put you both under that situation because I know we can
That's
get
right.
clipped up. I know we can get clipped up. I'm going to put my neck out. I'm saying we will do it. I've looked at the fixtures, and I think there's definitely games in there which are very winnable for us. There's the Liverpool fixture and the Arsenal fixture. The 2 fixtures, if you were to look on paper, are going to cause us problems. I know that there's going to be other bits and bobs in there because there's teams fighting for whatever. But you look at Arsenal's fixtures, they're going to have exactly the same. Man United, they're going to have exactly the same. We can probably discount Wolves and West Ham, as I said. Who's got the best manager of the 3?
We have.
I think we have 100%. Do you know who's got the form at this moment, at this very moment in time, just going into the international break in terms of the way we played? Well, you could say Arsenal, but you could definitely say us as well. You know what I mean? So all those little factors, I'm going ham on it. I'm saying, yeah, we will do it.
But
however,
they're still favourites. Favourites.
I think Arsenal's still favourites because of where they are, and they've got a game in hand. Obviously.
And they can stay favourites for as long as they want.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
Completely agree. I think they should stay favourites. But now I want to see Conte ramp them mind games up. I want to see Arteta's black hair go grey. If his black hair goes grey, I know he's done. And Conte, you can do that for me, son, because that hair's too dark. I think he's a vampire anyway. But that's another story.
He definitely dyes it. That's got L'Oreal written all over it, hasn't it? 100%. There's no way a Premier League manager has, at his age, and with the pressures of managing a top 6 club, has black hair like he has.
Just for men.
There doesn't look like there's a grey streak in there. It's
just for men.
That's what he's dyed.
I might try some Just for Men on this. So if you see me come on the show and it's a little bit dark and people thinking, what's happened to Sam? That's because I might do a little bit of Just for Men on this.
What I'll do is I'll just have a shave.
I can't do Just for Men on my head, so I'm going to try it on the old beard. Do you know what I mean? It might come out all right. We'll see. Juice Nuts, Spurs players watch Paxton Road. Big channel, more Spurs players here than we are Tottenham TV. Thank you very much for that. We love
absolutely
that.
Well done. Thank you.
That sort of comment. 85-86 season, we had an easy run in and we blew it. Jews, man. You're going back nearly fucking 40 years, son. Jeez, that's a long time ago.
But do you know what? On the flip side to that, Jews Nuts, we could end up getting top 4 and we could end up getting top 4 and they could get relegated. So you can use that stat next time.
I'm only saying careful of the name. You've got to be careful when you say Juice Nuts' name.
I know.
It can be very, very...
Yeah. So that could be decent.
Mojo, it's the old Grecian 2000 he's using on his Barnet. Grecian 2000, remember that? Shit. That's going back some there, Mojo. You're remembering that. Anyway, I think we're done. We get to that giddy stage in the night where we've about done. But yeah, good show, lads. Thank you very much. Good opinions. Let's get this international break done with. We can do it. Before we... Sorry, go on, Mike.
Most important thing is those players coming back
fit.
I don't want to jinx it too much, but let's just all make a little sort of prayer that those players return fit and ready for the to continue the Premier League when they come back from international break. It's great that Romero's not injured. It's great that he's suspended from international duty because he's the worry.
They're trying to reduce. They're trying to get his ban reduced from 2 to 1.
He can play one game.
So he can play one game. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Anyway, we can't. We just got to think positive. That they'll all come back and they'll all be ready. Sid, do you want to? Right before we come to you, Sid, make sure there's still over 50 of you watching. Thank you for supporting us. Make sure you smash a like on this show. hit that subscribe button as well and share the content around. Art Sid is coming on Friday. And Sid, do you want to just give a quick introduction to your video? And then I can play that for you.
Yeah, so basically, there's a lot of stick going around this last couple of weeks on our Mr. Number 7 Son. And I just thought, you know what, this week, let's talk about Son. So, Shane?
Let's talk about Son.
So this Friday at 7 o'clock, join the Paxton Road crew. Hopefully we'll get some special guests. And let's talk about how undervalued Heung-min Son is. And you'll be surprised at some of the stats, which probably most people know. So you know what? Let's bring it on. Everyone join us and let's big up the main man, as I say he is. So let's do it.
100%. Yeah, this talk about Son, and I've said he's tired. There was a couple of games when he was tired, but I think back to myself, there's no way you can drop Son. You know what he done he just showed you what he did on Sunday. He's just you can't.
Sid's missed out a trick there. I thought he was going to break into song when you said let's talk about Son.
Let's talk about Son, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the sad things that may be. Let's talk about Son.
Yes. Gents and ladies, that's Sid for you. That is definitely Sid for you. Right there. Conte old school, we use boot polish. Yeah, Conte will just go turkey again. That's all he needs to do. So if he goes grey, he'll go turkey, get himself a new barnet, come back.
He can't go bald because he had a hair transplant, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying. So he'll go back to Turkey and get some new hair, won't he? That's all he'll do. Do you know what I mean? I should go there myself, but you know, I'm too vain for that. I'll stay with the bold look. Like I said, look out for the old Grecian 2000 mojo because it's coming. We'll do fourth. Great show, lads. Click the button, everybody. Make sure you do. Sonny's the GOAT. I agree. The Levy stat probably brings in the most sales. Laugh my ass off. Great show, lads. Thank you very much. Mike, Sid, that is it. We've got a few more days before, obviously, we've got the next league game. But we've got lots to look forward to on Paxton Road TV. So look out for Sid Says on... It's Ask Sid, not Sid Says. That's coming up at summer. It's Ask Sid. Who'll do the song for us. That is it, gentlemen. I don't know what's happening. Every time I play the thing, I can't see the actual music or anything. So I didn't even see your video, but I know it played. That's just technical difficulties. Anyway, Mike, Sid, thank you very much. Thank you all for watching. Join us again on Paxton Road. Don't forget to look out for Sid on Friday's show. What time? 7:30?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, sorry.
Yeah.
Job done. All right.